We got one more comic. He's one of my favorite comics to watch in Los Angeles. You've seen him on Adam Vine's House Party. We're so glad he's here to do his half hour. Please welcome Mr. Billy Bonnell.
That felt good. Do it again. I'll take the free ones. I'm a little preoccupied with death. I don't know if you can tell. My dad killed himself a month after my grandpa killed himself. And I've just been wondering my whole adult life what it would have been like to grow up with a father who wasn't so fucking competitive. That's a good joke. Hey, you can't groan at that unless your dad killed himself a month after your grandpa did.
Can't stop thinking about how dumb it is that anyone would go somewhere and listen to someone talk. But it feels so good. But I remember being in 6th grade, and for some reason, whatever she was talking about, seriously in her lecture, she said lions, tigers, and bears. And some kid yelled out, "Oh my," like from The Wizard of Oz. And everyone lost their shit, and I was like, I gotta. The rest of my life wasn't planned around, I gotta do that. And comedy's existed forever. You know, all the way back to Mark Twain, who pretty much invented it for what it's worth, in its form where you're saying jokes. But that's the way I look at everything. I think everything is pretty stupid. Like, imagine someone wanting to make a documentary about a no-named comedian who is a little bit depressed and how he copes with that.
It sucks to get older and think about death all the time for me. I know you guys probably don't. When you're little, you don't think about shit. You just accept everything as the Bible when you're little. No matter what an adult tells you when you're like 5 or 6, you're like, that's true. You know what's really weird now that I'm an adult that wasn't ever weird for 1 second when I was a little kid? Just the ice cream truck. It's the creepiest shit possible. It's like everything your parents had warned you about when you were a little kid. If you see a stranger in a van and he tries to give you sweets, what are you supposed to do? Get the fuck out of there, yelling, "Stranger danger, stranger danger!" Unless he's playing Pop Goes the Weasel through a loudspeaker on top. Then apparently, here's $3. Take a chance, kid.
I never looked at stand-up and thought I wanted to do that. But in 2002, I was in Iceland, and a friend played a Mitch Hedberg CD, and I didn't realize people could be funny like that. It kind of blew my mind. The things he was saying, I didn't know what one-liners were. I never saw that before. But I would really like to get paid to do it. I don't care about being famous or what these people think about being famous or the #1 person on the planet. I just want to be well-liked enough that people will be willing to come back and see the show. I want to make a living at it. That's my goal.
It's Billy Bonnell, everyone. Billy!
I started comedy in 2009 in San Diego, California. And my first booked show ever was in March of 2010. And Billy was on that show, and that's when we first met. Sometimes I would hang out with him, and I would crash at his house, and he would get up at 6 a.m. in full fatigues. And I'm like, what? You're a military person? You protect our country? Like, it was the blue fatigues with the boots and everything.
I actually went to the Navy for 10 years. I don't know if a lot of people know that about me. Yeah, I left the Navy after 10 years to do comedy full-time. I'm not a hero. I actually went to the Navy to avoid a felony, and it fucking worked. Here's where the felony charge came from, because you can get a DUI, that's not a felony. You can run a little bit, that's not a felony. But when the cops try to arrest you, you resist arrest and accidentally squirm out and elbow a cop in the face, that is a felony. That's felony evasion.
He's a next level thinker. He does think of stuff that other people don't think of, and he never settles. He's a great joke writer. Like, I think that's his thing. He's really great at jokes.
Crazier, I was like, I'm never gonna die!
It's gonna be difficult for, like a wealthy person who had a wonderful life to have a strong point of view that's gonna connect with all of America. So I think pain and strife and life experience helps your point of view and helps people relate.
We were poor. This is how poor we were. I don't know how to explain it to you any better than this, but our house only had a front door and a back door, and all the rooms on the inside, the doors were sheets. No one ever had a house like this. Even the bathroom door was a sheet, and I've been walked in on shitting more than anyone that exists. Because you can't knock on a sheet. It's only like a quiet, I'm coming in anyway whisper. And then my mom would barge in and be like, what are you doing in here? And I was like, well, I wasn't in the other room in the house. You fucking knew I was in here. You did it on purpose. Dude, when we first moved in that house, we didn't even have a toilet. We shit in a bucket, and that's never gonna be funny, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me. If you wonder why this guy's doing comedy, it's because I had to bury my own shit in the backyard. I'd have that classic orange Home Depot bucket.
Growing up in Cleveland's how I knew that Donald Trump was going to get elected. It's really a fucked up town. This whole town is sad porn. Renee,
What?
what's up, man?
Don't take pictures of me.
Yeah, we're gonna take tons of pictures of you.
Love you.
Yeah.
Billy started using comedy when he was little, doing stupid stuff. But middle of September, the only grandfather he knew committed suicide in Fort Worth in his truck with all of our kids at my mom's house. And I sent Billy and his sister Susie to their dad's so I could help my mom. And he told my kids that he would never do it. And October 5th, he committed suicide.
What a dick, right?
With a gun.
Wow. Yeah, everyone knows. I make fun of it a lot.
Billy's 3 little sisters found him. He blew his head off. But he put a ski mask on and was sitting in the corner. And he went click.
You put a ski mask on?
Mm-hmm. Right there.
That's an interesting detail that I didn't know about.
I got a phone call telling me that I needed to come to the house. So I went to the house. She told me that John had died, that he had committed suicide. And first thing to my brain is I gotta go get my kids out of school. So I went and got the kids and I drove to Dallas. And that's when I told them that their father committed suicide. He told me that he wouldn't do something like that. Because he saw what it did to the kids when Otto died, committed suicide the month before. Easy way out. I truthfully, honestly believe that he did it for different reasons. Just because he was in pain.
Who's this? Is this you?
To give all 8 of his kids money that they deserved. Billy.
That's a fucking ugly ass kid, man. I'm still pretty ugly, but I think it might be body dysmorphia.
He was a good dad until he got really sick. And the government wouldn't do anything, wouldn't help him, gave him, $100, I think. I can just remember missing him, and I'd go outside and look, and he'd be hiding in the bushes. Just used to freak me out. Yeah, he did. He'd pull pranks, bad pranks. I mean, they would do shaving cream and hot water while somebody was sleeping, and just crazy, off the wall kid stuff. Actually, he was a normal kid. I would get a phone call from the school at least 3 times a week. Miss Smith, you have to come get him. He's disrupting the class. Cracking jokes and making the class laugh, and everything the teacher would say he'd catch, but nobody else could hear because he was disrupting the class. You know, #1 class clown. #1.
Do you guys want to live forever? Isn't that crazy? Almost all knows. That's how I know depression's real. There should be a lot more yeses. There isn't. Because everyone's like, I could fucking die.
Death's scary, ultimately. And if it's not scary enough, they say right before you die that your life flashes before your eyes. Which is interesting, because what if you had a shitty life? I know that's morbid, but that's a bad time to play the tape back. You're fucking dying, and they're like, here's all your old Snapchats. And you're like, why the fuck are you showing me this? Could you have shown me that 4 months ago, and maybe I could have turned this shit around, and I wouldn't be dying drunk in this ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese? It's even weirder if you're having an amazing life. You're on your deathbed or at the scene of a tragic accident, and they're like, hey, you were fucking killing it. And you're like, thanks, and they're like, sorry, you gotta go. Fuck, this is weird. That's why I hope it doesn't happen to me. I hope right before I die, all the times I've been blacked out drunk flash before my eyes. So at least on the way out, I can be like, holy shit, that's what happened? Fucking worth it, take me to hell. I did this to myself. I've lived a weird life. Yeah. Keep wanting me to get all these sad shots. I told you I'm not that sad. Yes, you are. I'm the standard level of depressed, but I've come to deal with it. I took medicine for a long time for depression because, I was a little bit of a pussy for a while. But I felt so different that I was like, I wasn't feeling creative. And I wasn't even doing comedy yet. I just didn't feel like my regular self. So I stopped taking it and then just started like embracing the sadness. And I think I got funnier.
I don't necessarily see it from like a depressed state. I think it's from like a liberation. I feel like everyone thinks that because they've seen a certain style of comedian that has that, and they're like, I want to be like that guy. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be the leather jacket, melodramatic guy with a bad background. And I think it's dumb. I think funny's funny.
Oh, dude, anarchy, man. Anarchy, dude. Hey, what's less anarchish than spray painted on something just out in the woods?
Like, I think the main gene a comedian has is like, nothing matters. So that's why we're willing to do stupid shit, even if we look dumb doing it, because in the end, who cares?
That's how I got here, though. I'm doing comedy because of all that shit in my life, and I feel good about it. Not particularly after I did that joke right now for you guys. But I forgot how rich and white and comfortable Santa Monica is, and they don't like to go out like that.
What I know about comedy for myself, it always made sense to try to maybe divert feelings or whatever. And there could be like a psychological thing there where it's like, I never want to face anything that's too serious. So if you're really shut in, even though nothing's ever happened to you, and you feel like everyone's against you and bullying you and stuff like that, maybe you become a comic to break through that. So for me, the funny part comes from a deep, deep pain, like your dad killing yourself a month after grandpa and then my aunt dying the next month. And being funny for me was like a way to be like, here's a bright side.
Thanks a lot. I'm Billy Bonnell. I really appreciate your time. Have a good night. Sorry about my dad. I'm sorry about my dad.